Hello everyone. Today we're going to continue with the milestone 6. In milestone 6, I need to solve the coconut tree tickets. But for the coconut tree tickets, I actually split into 5 more tickets. And this video specifically solved that 2 tickets out of 5. What I solved, technically I introduced the phases of the day. Right now you can see at the timer here it is 6 a.m. and then I call it Subuh. Subuh is literally in Bahasa Melayu, or in English we call it as what I call dawn or tomorrow, or even in canonical we call it as matins or louds. And then I introduced the fog of war over here. You can see it cover the entire map in gray color a bit. It's like a dim bit, and also the AI only can see a few tiles over here. This is their line of sight, and this is very important feature in the future. And why we wake up on the morning, because we need to go for prayer. Prayer is usually around 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. That's really depends on what people do in the morning. And then after that, like in this what they call modern times, we still do that. And then after we do the Subuh prayer, we go for work in the office around 7 a.m. or even some people wake up much more earlier than that. And for example, if I go back to my parents' house, we use back in the day during my childhood, I usually not usually there are times that I need to go with my parent working at the rubber tree farm around 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. is very early than this, and that really depends on what you're going to achieve in the evening, because in the evening usually you like in my household we're going for fishing. After that, after around 2 p.m. or something like that, we're going to fishing, or we enter the forest to get some item from the forest itself. Okay, now it's 7 a.m. 7 a.m. we call it pagi. Usually pagi in English we call it as morning, or in the old English we call it as forenoon, or in canonical we call it prime or thirst. And this is the time where you usually do our business. And you can see the fog of war is a bit lighter but still have a fog of war, because this is how we perceive in Nusantara. Sometimes it's more likely a mist, or sometimes it just the cloud is not on your side for that day. It really depends. For now I just not implementing the weather yet, but it's not really important for this ticket that I just solved. Now is Tengah Hari. Tengah Hari in English we call it as what they call midday, high noon, or even in canonical we call it as sect. But in here, in the very specific moment, which is around 1 to 1:30 p.m., usually is our prayer time. We call it Zoho. Zoho is technically very important. You cannot miss it. And then in this game, you can see it that the line of sight is much more wider. For now, the fog of war already clear from the map. Now is 2 p.m. 2 p.m. is literally petang. Petang means I believe you call it afternoon, or in old English we call it eventide. But petang usually we have another prayer and we cannot miss the prayer. Usually it's around this hour. You can see there's a 4 p.m. and then 36 minutes. This is the time that usually the Asa prayer will start. We call it Asa, and I believe in canonical hour there's none. There's not. I'm not sure about the canonical hour, but for us, we have this around this time. We have a new prayer, and then you can see the entire map now covered with the another fog of war. Just to show this is how the sky is in the game, and the line of sight finally getting reduced a bit, but it really depends. Maybe I want to change, maybe they can still see all of it. For now it just work, and then let it be that way. Just want to make the feature work first. Now the game right now is 7:08 p.m. We call it as Senja or Senja. It really depends on your dialect. But this is the moment where in English we call it as dusk or twilight, or in Old English we call it as degloaming, and usually the canonical we call it as vespers. And you can see the what they call fog of war over here is bluish a bit, and technically it's almost same like in the morning around 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. But then again, it has a different kind of feel, because this is where the what they call folklore start to live. Technically, the moment it enter the Senja time, there's a lot of evil things lurking around, but that is another time. Okay, right now my game has a bug a bit, but technically, if you lit up the fire, right, it's going to have a radiance circle, meaning the line of sight of the campfire itself will eliminate around few more tiles. But since we have two suddenly camp over here, I think I just misclick it, but never mind. It's going to spawn much more bigger fire radiance or line of sight over here. But if you can see, the entire tile become much more darker. This is because in night time you cannot see anything, right? So obviously it's going to be dark, and then we call it malam, or there's a specific term for this in our prayer, which is technically isha. Isha is one of the most important prayer all the time. We have 5 times that really important, and we cannot miss it at all, unless there's a exception to that. But then again, it really usually we don't skip it. Not usually we don't skip it. We must not skip it. Now is 12:18 a.m. It's really in the morning. We call it Dinihari. This is where the morning dew going to start, and then you can see the line sight over here has no different during night time or malam, because it's just the same. And in this hour usually we have optional prayer if you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, then that is fine. It's not going to like have anything wrong with that. We call it as tahajud time, but in English I believe we call it as what I call dead of the night, or the witching hour, or I believe in canonical we have vigils. But let's say the fire is out of the full, like the one that you're seeing right now, then the line of sight you have to rely on the line of sight of the character in the game, and you can see the what they call fire camp over here has nothing at all. There's no line of sight over here because they are not living things, and that's how I designed the line of sight. Okay, now that I have demonstrated a bit on how the game works based on the phases of the day and also the fog of war, I'm going to walk through a very simple, a very quick on the ticket. This is the actual ticket that I'm currently working on, the coastline coconut crafting tree. The reason why I introduced the phases of the day is because the oil lamp system. This is where we need to introduce per liter, or what I call the oil lamp. And then there are a few more tickets that I'm going to do, which is in the future, not really far. Maybe after the video is done, I'm going to continue with the coconut ecosystem. This is where we're going to spawn the coconut tree, and from the coconut tree it will Adam or Eve will harvest it to get a raw coconut, and from there we're going to split the raw coconut into another 4 type of resources, which is the coconut water, the husk, shell, and coconut meat. And if I think this is a big sub ticket, then I might going to do the devlog specifically for this, or else I'm going to complete another ticket before we jump into another devlog. And thank you for watching.